My father gave my brother the family business in front of 43 people at a Sunday afternoon family reunion in my Aunt Patricia's backyard in Memphis, Tennessee. He stood up, tapped his fork against his glass, and announced that Harper Industrial Supply, 41 years old, was going to Robert. Not me. Robert. Nobody looked at me. Not one person at those folding tables looked at me. Except my mother, who looked at her hands. What my father didn't know, what Robert didn't know, what nobody at those folding tables knew, was that 3 months earlier, Sutton Distribution Group, my company, had quietly become Harper Industrial's largest competitor, $4.2 million in revenue. His third biggest client had just signed with us, and he had no idea. Not one idea. This is that story. And it starts 3.5 years before that Sunday afternoon. My name is Claire Sutton, 41 years old. I run Sutton Distribution Group on Poplar Avenue in East Memphis, Tennessee. Industrial parts, equipment distribution. Manufacturers across Tennessee, Arkansas, northern Mississippi. Last year, $4.2 million in revenue. I drive a 2021 Nissan Pathfinder with a car seat in the back from when my nephew James visits. He's 4. He calls me Aunt Cece. He has strong opinions about trains. Last Saturday, he told me trains are better than cars and spent 11 minutes explaining why. I could not argue with his logic. My father, Thomas Sutton, built Harper Industrial Supply from one warehouse and one truck in 1983. He is a good man. I need to say that clearly, because this story is not about a villain. My father is not a villain. He is a man who worked hard, built something real, and had certain ideas about how things worked that he never once stopped to question. He has a daughter who spent 12 years inside his company. He also has a son who spent those years in sales, charming clients, playing golf, showing up at the right moments. My father, a man who understood hard work, somehow read Robert's ability to be liked as something more than it was. I am not angry at him for this. Not anymore. Understanding is not the same as agreeing. I grew up in Memphis, East Side, Whitehaven. Dad was at the warehouse by 6 a.m. every single day, including Saturdays. Including the Saturday of my high school graduation when he arrived still wearing his work boots because he had been there until an hour before. He sat in the second row in a shirt and tie on top of his warehouse clothes and cried through my entire speech. I was valedictorian. He cried so hard my Aunt Patricia had to hand him 3 tissues in succession. That is who my father is. He worked hard. He showed up. He loved his children in every way he knew how. He just had a blind spot the size of the Mississippi River when it came to seeing what his daughter was actually capable of. I graduated from University of Memphis with a business degree. My father hired me at Harper Industrial 3 months later, entry level, inventory management, $34,000 a year. "I'm not doing you favors," he told me the day I started. "You earn what you earn, the same as everyone else." I respected that. I still do. I spent 12 years earning it. Inventory to operations, operations to logistics, logistics to vendor relations, vendor relations to essentially running the day-to-day of a company my father still believed he was running himself. 12 years. I knew every supplier, every contract, every margin. I knew which clients paid on time and which needed 2 calls before an invoice got settled. I knew the warehouse on Lamar Avenue the way some people know their childhood home. Which door stuck in August? Which forklift had the alignment issue? Which loading dock was always 3 degrees warmer in July? Which vendor gave better pricing if you called Thursday afternoon instead of Monday morning? I knew it because I was there, every day, for 12 years. Robert was there when it was convenient. Robert is 3 years older than me. Charming. The kind of man who walks into a room and makes everyone feel like he was waiting specifically for them. He remembers every person's name, their spouse's name, their kids' names. He sends handwritten birthday cards. That is genuinely a skill. I'm not dismissing it. But running a business is not just about bringing people in. It's about what happens after. The operations, the margins, the vendor negotiations, the inventory systems, the actual machinery of keeping something alive every single day. That was me for 12 years. And my father, who built a business with his hands, saw the lunches and the golf and the handshakes and decided that was the thing that mattered most. I understood when it happened. I just didn't accept it.
Year 4, I negotiated our first major vendor contract. Meridian Parts Group, Nashville. 4 months, 17 meetings, 3 trips to Nashville on my own time because my father thought I was overcomplicating it. Final call, 12% reduction on our highest volume product line. That 12% saved Harper Industrial approximately $180,000 that year. I brought my father the signed contract on a Tuesday morning. He looked at it, looked at Robert, who had attended one of the 17 meetings, and said, "Good work on this, Robert." Robert said, "Appreciate it, Dad," and glanced at me sideways, a look that said, "I know. Sorry, what can I do?" I didn't say anything. I took my copy of the contract back to my office, sat at my desk, opened a new spreadsheet. That spreadsheet was the beginning of Sutton Distribution Group. That was not the last time it happened. It was just the clearest, the most precise. There were vendor calls I prepared for that Robert presented, projections I built that appeared in my father's meetings without my name on them, reports I wrote that were emailed from Robert's address because my father asked Robert to put it together, not knowing that putting it together meant forwarding what I had already put together. None of this was Robert's fault, not entirely. He operated in the system that existed. My father created the system, and I, for 12 years, worked inside it. And then one Tuesday in February, I decided to build outside it instead. But here's the thing nobody knew. While I was building my own company at night, I was still showing up at Harper Industrial every single morning, full effort, full attention, because if I was going to leave, I was going to leave on my terms, and I was not going to take anything that wasn't mine to take. I need to stop here. You've been showing up for 12 years, doing the work, building the knowledge, and the credit keeps going somewhere else. What would you do? Confront him directly? Drop a 1. Build something of your own? Drop a 2. Because what I chose changed more than just my career. I incorporated Sutton Distribution Group in April, 3.5 years before the reunion, using savings I had accumulated over 12 years of actually earning what I earned. I started small, 2 suppliers, 3 clients, all completely outside Harper Industrial's territory. I was meticulous about that. No stolen clients, no poached suppliers, nothing taken. Because this wasn't about destroying my father's company. It was about building my own. And I needed it to be clean. My husband Daniel knew. He is an accountant. He helped me set up the financials. He is the most relentlessly practical person I have ever known. When I told him I was starting a competing company, he said, "Okay, let's look at the startup costs." That was it. No speech, no drama, just, let's look at the numbers. We sat at our kitchen table on Quince Road in Germantown on a Saturday morning. Laptop open, coffee hot. "Your margins are better than your dad's," he said. "I know. By how much?" "About 9% on average, 11 on the highest volume product lines." He looked at me over his reading glasses. "What happens when he finds out?" "When he finds out, it'll be because I've already built something worth finding out about." He went back to the numbers. That is why I married him. Year 1, $380,000 in revenue. Small, but real, and mine. The first check I received, a small manufacturer in Bartlett, $4,200. I held that check for a week before I deposited it, not because of the amount, because it had my name on it, my company name, not Harper Industrial, mine. Here is the twist nobody saw coming, including me. Year 2. A manufacturer in Jackson, Mississippi called us directly. They had been a Harper Industrial client for 8 years. They were not calling to switch. They were calling because they had heard our name from another manufacturer who had heard our name from someone else. Word was spreading. Not because of marketing, not because of a sales campaign, because the people I had built relationships with over 12 years at Harper Industrial trusted me. And when I built something of my own, they told people.
That manufacturer stayed with Harper, but they asked us to quote on a separate product line Harper didn't carry. We got the contract. $340,000 annually, our biggest single contract at the time. I called Diane Okafor that afternoon. She was still at Harper then. I didn't tell her about the contract. I asked her how she was doing. She said, "Honestly, Claire, I'm thinking about my options." I said, "When you're ready, call me." She called 3 weeks later. I hired her the same day. 30% pay increase, an actual title that reflected what she actually did. Director of Operations, I told her. She looked at her business card. "I've been doing this job for 6 years, she said. "I know," I said. "Nobody called it that before." "I'm calling it that now," I said. She has been with me ever since. Year 2, $1.1 million. Year 3, $2.8 million. And in year 3, Hargrove Manufacturing called us. Bill Hargrove, Bartlett, Tennessee, Harper Industrial's third largest client. "Ms. Sutton, we've been with Harper for 11 years, but your pricing on the 400 series is 11% below what we're paying, and your delivery times are 2 days faster. I have to have this conversation." We had it. 3 weeks later, Hargrove Manufacturing signed with us. I sat in my office after I got the signed contract. Diane knocked, came in. "Is that what I think it is?" "Yeah," I said. She sat down. "He's going to find out eventually." "I know." "How do you want to handle it?" "Honestly," I said, "when it happens." That was Thursday, 3 days before the reunion. 3 days before my father stood up in my Aunt Patricia's backyard and gave Harper Industrial to Robert. I didn't say anything that afternoon. I drove home, gave James a bath, put him to bed with 3 books, he always negotiates for 3, and sat on the back porch with Daniel and a glass of wine I mostly held without drinking. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah." He waited. "He's going to find out soon," I said. "When?" "Next week, probably. Hargrove's contract starts September 1st. Harper will lose the reorder. Someone will tell him who got it." "What are you going to do?" I looked out at the backyard, fireflies starting. "Wait," I said. "And answer honestly when he calls." He called 11 days later, September 8th, a Wednesday, 8:14 a.m. I was in my office going through Q3 projections with Diane when my phone buzzed. Dad. "Hey, Dad." "Claire." His voice was different, not angry, something quieter than angry, confused. The voice of a man who has encountered something he doesn't have a category for. "I got a call from Bill Hargrove this morning." I waited. He told me they're moving their parts contract to a company called Sutton Distribution. I waited. "Claire?" "Yes, Dad? Is that your company?" I set my pen down. "Yes," I said. "It is." Silence. Long enough that I counted my own heartbeats. 1, 2, 3, 4. How long? 3.5 years. Another silence. 3.5 years. Not a question, just the words. Landing. Why didn't you tell me? I thought about that Tuesday morning in February, the contract I had negotiated. Robert's name, my father's voice. Good work on this, Robert. I needed to know if I could do it without your name attached to it, without Harper Industrial attached to it, just me, just what I actually knew. Bill says your pricing is better. It is. By how much? 11% on the product lines he ordered most. I heard him exhale. Who else? We have 4 contracts with companies that were previously Harper clients, all inbound, all came to us, and 7 contracts with manufacturers who have never done business with Harper Industrial. Silence. $4 million in revenue this year, projected 5.8 by December. I heard him sit down. You built this. Yes, while you were working for me. After hours, nights and weekends, nothing was taken from Harper. No clients were solicited. Every contract from former Harper clients came to us inbound. I can send you the documentation. Silence. Why are you telling me this now? I thought about the reunion, the fork against the glass, the 43 people, nobody looking at me. Because you asked, and because I think it's time for this conversation. I'll call you back, he said. He hung up. I set my phone down. Diane was looking at me. Everything okay, boss? Yes. Give me a few minutes. She left. I sat there in my office on Poplar Avenue and looked at the framed photo on my desk. Me at the Lamar warehouse, age 9, grandfather beside me, both of us in hard hats too big for us. I had put that photo on my desk the day I moved into this office, not as a statement, because I liked looking at it, because it reminded me of why I started. Not to beat Harper, just because I loved this, since I was 9 years old in a hard hat that didn't fit. He called back the next morning, Thursday, 8:14 a.m. I've been thinking, he said. I went through the Harper financials last night with our accountant. We've lost 6 contracts in the past 18 months. I thought it was market pressure. 4 of them went to you. Yes? And our margins on 3 product lines are down because we've been matching pricing we didn't understand the source of. Yes? He was quiet. You're better at this than Robert. I didn't answer it like a question. I've been doing it for 12 years and 3.5 more on my own. He exhaled. I made assumptions. 3 words from a man who did not say things like that easily. You did, I said. Not cruelly, just factually. What do you want, Claire? I don't want Harper Industrial. It's yours. It was your father's. It should go where you want it to go. What I want is for you to know what I built, what I actually am capable of, not because I need your approval. I stopped needing that somewhere around year 2, but because I'm your daughter. And I think you should know who I am. Long silence. I know who you are, he said. His voice was different. The certainty was gone. I'm sorry, Claire. I held the phone, pressed my hand flat on my desk, breathed. I know, Dad. Second comment bait. Before I tell you what happened next, I want to ask you something. My father is a good man who made assumptions that cost him. Do you think he deserved what came next? Drop a 1 if yes, actions have consequences. Drop a 2 if you think family deserves a different standard. Because what he said when he called back changed things in a way I didn't expect. Aftermath. New twist. We met for lunch the following Saturday, Young Avenue Deli in Midtown Memphis, the place we used to go when I was in college, and he would drive 40 minutes to take me to lunch and pretend it wasn't out of his way. Reuben for him, Turkey Club for me. Same as always. 19 years of the same order. He looked older than I remembered from the reunion. 2 weeks older, which is not possible. But grief does that, or whatever this was, whatever the specific emotion is when a man realizes he has been looking at his own family through a lens that was slightly wrong for a very long time. We talked for 2 hours, not about the business first, about my grandfather, his first warehouse, the Saturday of my high school graduation. I still had my work boots on, he said. I know, Dad. Your mother was embarrassed. I wasn't, I said. He looked at me. Something shifted in his face. No, he said quietly. You never were. We sat with that. Then he asked me to walk him through how I had built the vendor relationships. And here is the new thing, the thing I didn't expect to happen. He pulled out a notebook, an actual notebook, the kind he used at the warehouse, and he started writing things down. Not to challenge me, not to find problems, to learn. He asked questions for an hour and a half and wrote down everything I said. The same notebook he had used for 40 years of running Harper Industrial. In those same margins, my grandfather's handwriting, old notes, old numbers, and now, mine. When we were leaving, he stopped on the sidewalk outside the deli. "I want to see what you built," he said. "Come Thursday," I said. He came Thursday. Full tour. The office, the operations floor, the logistics system, the team. Diane shook his hand. "You have a good one here," Healy told him. When we got to my office, he stopped at the photo. Me and my grandfather. Lamar Warehouse. Hard hats too big. He held it for a long time. "Your grandfather would have been proud of you," he said. "He would have been proud of all of us," I said. "No," he said. "He would have been specifically proud of you." He left an hour later. He shook my hand at the door. Not a hug, something different, like the beginning of a different kind of relationship. Professional, mutual, real. I think I preferred it. Robert called that evening. "Dad told me about your company." I figured.
3.5 years. "Yes, you're better at this than me," he said. Honest. Not defeated, just honest. Sales isn't nothing, Robert. You're genuinely good at bringing people in. The problem was never you. The problem was what happened after they came in. He thought about that. I didn't know what I didn't know. None of us do, I said. Until we do. He laughed. Small, quiet, real. What happens now? Dad and I are going to figure that out. And me. You keep doing what you're actually good at. And we build something that uses that properly. Okay, he said. Simple. I've always liked that about Robert. He does not overcomplicate things. New twist. Something happened 4 weeks later that I didn't include in the lunch conversation. A manufacturer in northern Alabama, Huntsville area, called Sutton Distribution Group for a quote on a large contract. $800,000 annually. The kind of contract that changes the shape of a company's year. I sat with Diane and looked at the numbers. We could handle it. Barely, but we could. And then Diane looked at me. "You know who could handle this better?" "Don't say it," I said. "Harper Industrial plus us together," she said. "Diane." "I'm just saying. You have the operations. They have the capacity. Robert has the relationships. That Huntsville manufacturer was at a conference Robert attended 3 months ago. I looked at the contract. $800,000 annually. How do you know Robert met them? Because Robert told me. At your dad's Christmas party. He said they were a great prospect, but Harper didn't have the operational setup to handle their volumes. I sat with that. You set this up, I said. Diane looked at the ceiling. I may have mentioned to the Huntsville contact that we had a partner with strong client relationships in that territory. I looked at her. You are terrifying, I said. You've said that before, she said. I mean it every time. I called my father that evening. There's a contract in Huntsville, $800,000 annually. I can't handle it alone. I think we can handle it together. Silence. Together, he said. Yes. Longer silence. What would that look like? A formal partnership. Equal. Documented. Legal. Harper handles client relationships, Robert specifically. Sutton handles operations, logistics, vendor relations. 50-50 on the expansion territory. Done, he said. I signed the partnership agreement 3 weeks later. Harper Sutton Distribution Partners. Diane witnessed it. She looked at me when it was signed. You know, you could have just kept competing, she said. I could have, I said.
Why didn't you? I thought about my grandfather's warehouse on the Mar, the hard hat too big, the photo on my desk. Because it was never about beating them, I said. It was about being seen. People always ask me, do you regret not confronting him sooner? Drop a 1 if you think I should have spoken up earlier. Drop a 2 if you think building quietly was the right move. Because my answer might actually surprise you. I don't regret it. Not the quiet years, not the midnight spreadsheets, not the 3.5 years of building something nobody knew about. Because here is what I learned. You cannot convince people with words who are not prepared to hear them. You can show them. Quietly. Consistently. Without asking for permission. Build the thing. Sign the contract. Fill the spreadsheet. Hire the person. Make the evidence impossible to ignore. And then, when the conversation finally happens, you won't need to argue your case. The numbers will do it for you. My father made assumptions. He is not a bad person. He is a man who saw the world a certain way for a very long time. The thing that changed him was not a conversation. It was evidence. The Hargrove contract, the Q3 numbers, the office on Poplar Avenue, the photo on my desk, the notebook he brought to lunch. He saw what was actually there, and he adjusted. Not every person does that. Some people double down. He didn't. I respect that. More than I expected to. James came to the office last month, 4 years old. He watched the conveyor belt for 3 minutes without saying anything. Longest I have ever seen him quiet. And then said, "Does it ever stop?" "Only when we turn it off," I said. He thought about this very seriously. "Don't turn it off," he said. "I won't," I said. He seemed satisfied. We went to get chocolate milk from the break room. Diane gave him a cookie. He ate it with complete focus. Then looked up at her. "This is a good office," he said. Diane looked at me. "Yes," she said. "It is." If you are somewhere right now being overlooked, not with cruelty, just with the comfortable assumption that someone already knows what you're capable of without ever really looking, hear this. Build the thing. Quietly. Consistently. Make the evidence impossible to ignore. He walked into that reunion thinking he was giving something away. He had no idea it was already mine. Don't turn it off. Keep building. If this story sat with you today, you already know what to do. Next story. A woman inherited a safe from her uncle. Nobody knew the combination. Nobody knew what was inside. The attorney said, he left instructions.